Alderperson Shampa.
Couple things I wanted to say about it. So a couple things with this. So this was something that was originally brought to me from a couple of neighbors of mine, in addition to several residents of Blackhawk. So the council's aware, town of Caledonia actually just passed routes, ATV, UTV routes for town roads, for all town roads last night. And this also applies to Blackhawk as well. And I don't know if the administrator can bring up a map of what we're talking about so I can explain. But currently Blackhawk is disconnected from the rest of Caledonia from a section of the city of Portage. That's outlined on the screen up there. And what this would do would be to allow a connection for the town of Blackhawk residents to travel from Blackhawk to Levy Road or vice versa, with the goal that's been articulated to me so that Blackhawk residents are able to drive to Sauk, who also has ATV routes available for them as well. They would not be crossing the 33 bridge. This would instead just be a perpendicular crossing at Blystones. One comment that was made at legislative was in regards to lighting. There is indeed a light post there, in addition to both lighting from the Blystones parking lot as well as their auxiliary parking lot across the street. It's an extremely well lit intersection. I think that it's definitely adequate for crossing at that spot. I did have a question though. Well, we had a representative here from the ATV club. If I could ask her a question about signage.
You may.
So, from what I understand, it's generally been accepted that the club has contributed towards signage in certain towns. Is this true?
Yes, it is. You want me to invite-
Sure.
The club has helped out townships that doesn't have the money to provide the signs themselves. We have people that have donated money to make these signs, but the club is willing to help with the signs. Portage is, I believe, is the only city not yet open in Columbia County. Town of Pacific is the only township that hasn't approved it yet. So we're got about 150 members, and we try to get enough money to help pay the signs. It may take a while. Now, you're only talking about 2 roads at this time, so we should be able to help you out on that.
Wonderful. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I can give you my telephone number. I don't think I put it on that paper. Or you know Ellen Pulver?
No, Ellen.
Yeah, she's the secretary treasurer.
Okay.
She knows more about it than I. I'm just the president.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Does that help you?
That answers my question. I
Okay.
appreciate it. So if I remember too from the legislative meeting, we had talked about 2 different kinds of signs. One being obviously that it's a designated route, but the other one being that we didn't want essentially parking drop off along. So I'm assuming these would be 2 separate signage. I think it may be reasonable to ask for route signs, as this has been something that they've done for the towns. Perhaps maybe not though on the drop off. I don't know if that's.
We hadn't talked about specific signs for no parking. That would just be established by ordinance. Something we could talk about. I think you'd have to really specify it so people knew that they could still park their car. So that's something that could be discussed. The other signs would be arrows just to keep a conveyance on the right street. The section of Caledonia on the screen where the mouse is, Caledonia comes down like this and then reconnects back to 33. This section would remain closed just because there's no need for it. So the arrows would really be when you're at this intersection of Wood Street to continue on Caledonia, and then likewise from Caledonia to Wood Street. So those arrows and arrows here, and the rest, it's really quite simple, I think. And the representatives from can't remember their names off the top of my head, that were here prior, they had indicated the same as you, that they would
Mhm.
they'd be helpful with the arrows and the route sign.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and just so we're clear that the ATVs will not be allowed to cross the 33 bridge into the city of Portage. Uh, we recommend allowing this only because they're going to be using a couple streets that are city streets in order to cross over Highway 33 to obtain access to Sauk County.
In reviewing, and I spoke with the representative that works at DOT specifically on this topic. This is a 55-mile-an-hour route right here. This section of highway, by state law, there is no way that unless the speed limit was changed by the state. I think it has to be 35 or less on the state highway to use it. So the city can't do anything about that even. It's just too high. State prohibits to turn right or
Correct.
left.
Yeah, they'll only be allowed to cross Highway 33 and left or right on to
That's
Highway 33.
not up to the municipality.
So we have a motion and a second on the table. We did the
read
first
the
reading.
And suspended the rules.
Just to clarify, this actually isn't, this first part is not about the route. This first one is about, say, a semantic change that Jesse and I had talked about. In the existing code, the next item is about the route. The code is a little difficult to interpret.
Yeah, this one is something that probably had been in place since 1990 or before, where it was strange in that it related to unauthorized off-road operation. That's what the title of the section is, but yet it said that you can't operate these types of vehicles on a street, which is by definition not off-road. So we just thought it was more clear. There's no question of whether it's allowed on streets, and then the route ordinance makes it clear what streets it's legal to operate on.
So there isn't a future conflict.
Wonderful.
I think it was almost sort of implied anyway, that off-road is not a street, but that's what the code said.
So next we have ordinance number 23-013, ordinance relative to motor vehicles and traffic. Pursuant to the recommendation from the Legislative and Regulatory Committee to establish a ATV route, the proposed ordinance follows the state of Wisconsin's recommended format for authorization of routes.
Alderperson Schimpah.
Make a motion to suspend the rules and have the ordinance number 23-013 read tonight by title only.
Alderperson Wetzel.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
Raleigh?
Aye.
Bauer Fry?
Aye.
Green?
Aye.
Knockrainer?
Aye.
Radiant?
Aye.
Schimpah?
Aye.
Wetzel?
Aye.
Ordinance relative to motor vehicles and traffic. This is the first reading.